EdTalk8, Kai Armstrong. I chose these two images to reflect parts of Gorski's introduction as well as Emden's conclusion. In Gorski's introduction, he defines a lot of things, but something outside of the myth that education is the great equalizer is that we, as individuals who have a stake in the education of children and young people, have, according to Gorski, substantial power to mitigate the inequities that the system perpetuates. We often underestimate our power because we're just one person, but working as a team, working as a school, working within a system, we can actually help mitigate those inequities. And Gorski also talks about deficit theory and assumptions, but if we focus on nurturing each student and really seeing them as individuals, it's important that we respect who they are. Also, knowledge of student culture and the ability to interact across culture is not the same as knowing how to spot the subtle class biases in learning material or school policies. And that connected back to urban teaching with the lockers and the jacket school policy and how the students were having their lockers broken into. The second image of the two heads pressed together in blue is from Emden's conclusion. Page 206 and 207 have two very poignant quotes, I think, that tie back to Gorski's introduction, which is, the effectiveness of the teacher can be traced directly back to what the teacher thinks of the student. And you cannot teach someone you don't believe in. So those tie very much directly into respecting the student, giving them autonomy, and working outside of deficit theory. Gorski mentioned financial commodity, which was the ability to pay for necessities, and how people in poverty can't necessarily afford even basic necessities. He goes beyond the generalized definition of class in the United States, which is poverty, middle class, and wealthy, and creates 5 delineations of class, which are poverty, middle class or working class, middle class, managerial or management class, and the wealthy, and then goes on to define both wealth and income, and how those things are actually very much a part, socioeconomic structures in our society are very much a part of school structure, and how we both fund schools and how we fund students in our relation to our commitment as individuals and commitment as a society to student education. My last slide has images that reflect Emden's chapter 11, Curation and Computing, where he uses examples from his own teaching to discuss how technology can be used and how the assumptions of it being abused can result in students not feeling respected or validated. And I thought it was really interesting that in his experience with the cogen, he actually had to face the critique of his students when they videotaped him and said, like, here's digital proof to back up what we're saying, and it resulted in better communication. And the experience with the students and the laptops, and how the administration assumed that they would be happy just playing a little math trial game, and how they acted out of frustration and defaced the laptops, but it's because they they were trying to send a message and the administration wasn't getting the message. Finally, I really enjoyed the idea of the meta logs using classroom notebooks, because the students have an opportunity to really think about what they want to say and share. And same with the hashtags, where students are calling on each other during lecture through Twitter, and not, it's an extension of the classroom. And I thought that was really cool. The overall theme, I think, for both these chapters is communication and expression and respect.